Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Kudlow. I'm Larry Kudlow. There's a lot of breaking news tonight in the Middle East. Just hours ago, a barrage of rockets were fired from Gaza Strip into Tel Aviv. Fox News was the only network there, as the rockets were blocked by Israel's missile defense system known as the Iron Dome. Hamas says it fired 137 rockets toward Israel today and still has more to show. This latest attack came after Israel's military hit multiple Hamas targets in Gaza in response to rocket fire last evening. Here's Madam Saki's response to all that.
We condemn ongoing rocket attacks by Hamas and other terrorist groups, including against Jerusalem. We also stand against extremism that has inflicted violence on both communities. We will also continue to support a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. That is the only way to ensure the just and lasting peace that two peoples have struggled to achieve.
Wow. All right, let's dig in this. Joining us now with reaction, Senator John Barrasso. He's a member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, as well as others. Senator Barrasso, you've been so good to us. Thank you again for coming on this evening, where there is literally a lot of fireworks. What did you hear Psaki say? What did you think you heard her say? It seemed like the evil moral equivalent thing. What do you think, sir?
Well, I stand with the people of Israel, as you know, Larry. They are under attack right now by Hamas, and of course they are funded by Iran. They are firing missiles, and the people of Israel have every right to defend themselves, and Iron Dome is very successful at doing this. This is my concern with the administration. They now want to once again send money to the Palestinians. We have stopped doing that. I sent a letter to Secretary of State Blinken about this 2 months ago and said, do not reinstate these projects. You know that this money will be used for terrorism, and it looks to me like it's doing that right now.
Senator, let me just quickly read. Former President Trump put out this release just a few moments ago. When I was in office, we were known as the peace presidency because Israel's adversaries knew that the United States stood strongly with Israel and there would be swift retribution if Israel was attacked. And he goes on to say, under Biden, the world is getting more violent and more unstable because Biden's weakness and lack of support for Israel is leading to new attacks on our allies. And he concludes, Senator Barrasso, America must always stand with Israel and make clear that the Palestinians must end the violence, terror, and rocket attacks, and make clear that the U.S. will always strongly support Israel's right to defend itself. It's funny. I didn't hear anything about the Abraham Accords. I didn't any support for Israel in that statement by Madam Psaki. What I heard was a kind of even-handed. I don't believe this relationship between Iran, a terrorist state, and its own terrorist state clients like Hamas. That is not co-equal with Israel, sir.
No, it's not. You're absolutely right. What former President Trump didn't say is that he did what a number of presidents of both parties had promised but never delivered on. He actually moved the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. I mean, that was a show of support of the United States like no other, and I stand with what he was able to accomplish. Remarkable achievement in just 4 years in the Middle East.
Thank you. We've got a reporter coming in on some more additional information, Senator. Please hang with us for a moment. I beg your patience. I want to turn to the Colonial Pipeline cyber attack here in the U.S. Let's bring in Fox News correspondent Lucas Tomlinson.
Larry, I'm standing outside some storage tanks owned by Colonial Pipeline, about 30 minutes outside the nation's capital, where a short time ago at the White House, the president's top advisors talked about how they can move more fuel to the East Coast using ships, more rail, and even relaxing some restrictions on trucking. The DHS secretary says cyber attacks against the United States have increased this year.
More than $350 million in losses are attributable to ransomware attacks this year. That's a more than 300% increase over last year's victimization of companies, and there's no company too small to suffer a ransomware attack.
As of last night, Larry, 6% of Virginia's gas stations have run out of fuel, and that number has crept up to nearly 8% today. Colonial Pipeline is a private company based in Georgia who supplies nearly half the fuel for the East Coast. It hopes to restore service by the end of the week, but analysts say if the shutdown goes down longer, the gas prices will be affected. Now, we've seen a pretty steady stream of trucks coming in and out of here behind me. However, most companies do keep about a 60-day supply of fuel on hand. Larry?
Yes, thanks, Lucas Tomlinson. Thanks very much. Sam Barrasso, I don't know what your take is. This seems like a minor issue. The fact that the cyber hacking occurred is not. But just in terms of the gasoline and the power, what you thinking? You know a lot about this topic.
Well, it does show the vulnerability of our infrastructure in this country, and my concern is the Biden administration is being caught flat-footed on this sort of attack that could happen to our nation. We don't know how much ransom was asked for in this case, or if it was paid or not. We know that the pipeline is still shut, but a number of us in a bipartisan letter to the administration said, look, you need to be focused on cybersecurity, energy security. The area that's focused on this through the Department of Energy was specifically told to beware, and we still have not gotten a nominee from the administration on the assistant secretary that oversees all of this, even though a bipartisan group of senators have asked for this. This, to me, is further proof, Larry, of an administration in terms of energy seems to be more focused on their opposition to fossil fuels than they are on the opposition to coming at us on fossil fuels, and I think there's plenty of evidence about that.
Let me quickly play you some sound. You know former Energy Secretary Dan Brouillette. Let me play some sound for our interview last night. Quickly, Senator.
I'm sure they're looking at the intel and trying to confirm the things that they think they know. And once that's done, then I would hope the very next step would be to inform the private industry. And more importantly, Larry, not only inform them, but bring them into the process of fixing the problem. You know, it's very simple for us to bring together the electricity utilities, to bring together the pipeline community, you know, and frankly, to bring together the banking community, which is a big part of this, and bring together the telecommunications industry, which is another big part of this, and perhaps together, creating that joint collaborative effort, we can prevent the next attack.
I mean, essentially, Dan Brouillette told us, Senator Barrasso, they haven't done a darn thing. Nothing in their massive infrastructure, God knows, $2 trillion, $3 trillion, whatever it's going to be, has anything to do with protecting cybersecurity, including litigation and regulation, which could really help move forward to protect this stuff. But, John, if I may, I just want to try this. I think somehow this Russian attack, I mean, these are, you know, ransomware. These are Russians. They are Russian hackers, okay? General Keane today on Fox News said that they are Russian hackers. Now, he said they may not be working for the government, they may be moonlighting, but they are Russian hackers. The Russian government must be held responsible for that. And I want to go a step further, Senator Barrasso, because after all, isn't Russia Iran's best friend? I mean, when we're talking about Hamas and Israel, doesn't Russia play into that? And is this of a piece, and is Mr. Biden being tested, sir?
Well, certainly the president is being tested, but let's broaden this a bit, Larry. Remember, the director of national intelligence on his threat assessment to President Biden said that our energy infrastructure is being targeted, and he said at the time, by China. So you have China, you have Russia, who, as you point out, is Iran's best friend. Those are all areas of evidence this administration isn't as focused as it should be on this. Additionally, and Lisa Murkowski brought this up at the Energy Committee a week or so ago, right now the United States is using more oil from Russia than it is from Alaska. So we're more vulnerable on that side as well. And what did the president do his first day in office when we're talking about a pipeline here? He shut down the Keystone XL pipeline and all of those jobs related to it. So the president is completely wrong on energy, and I think his focus is not where it should be in terms of energy security for our nation.
Boy, that's not a good place for the United States to be importing more from Russia. Senator Barrasso, last one. I guess some key meetings this week on the so-called infrastructure package. The Four Corners meet with the president tomorrow. That means Pelosi and Kevin McCarthy and Schumer and McConnell. And then you, sir, will be part of another meeting, I believe, on Thursday with a number of your Republican colleagues to meet with the president. You know, it's fashionable to ask you, can you make a deal? But let me just try to look at it this way, Senator Barrasso. It just seems to me the bid and the offer is too wide. Okay? The Democratic bid is, I don't know, $2 trillion, $3 trillion, $4 trillion. And that includes several trillion in taxes, at least. The Republican bid may go to $800 billion, according to Mitch McConnell. Could be less, according to Senator from West Virginia. And GOP doesn't want any income tax hikes. They have never been used for infrastructure. That's for user fees and bonding and so forth. So the bid and the offer are so wide, I don't see how you make a market here. I don't see how you make a trade.
Well, you asked me a number of weeks ago if the Republicans would have a proposal, and we do. And our proposal is on core infrastructure, hard infrastructure, the sort of things the American people would think of when you talk about infrastructure. Roads, bridges, ports, airports, waterways, and then, of course, in the 21st century, you have to have high-speed broadband. That is what our offer and proposal is about. It doesn't include all of the so-called soft infrastructure that the liberals are pushing for, including President Biden's proposal, which include things like a green school cafeteria plan with cafeteria trays that are recyclable, or so-called climate justice. We leave all of that out. If the president is willing to discuss just the physical infrastructure needs of the nation, then we're very close, and I think we can get a deal, as long as he doesn't go down this terrible road of all of these things completely unrelated to infrastructure as the American people think of it.
Well, look, I think you all came up with a great deal, but ironically, that was your deal when you were chairman of EPW. Correct me if I'm wrong. You reported it at a committee unanimously. Unanimously. So why can't we just drive with that and cut off all the other progressive far-left wish lists for another day?
Well, you're absolutely right. You remember Bernie Sanders voted for it in the committee, and I voted for it, came out of the committee unanimously, and then ultimately the House under Nancy Pelosi rejected it because she wanted the full Green New Deal instead. If President Biden is really serious and wants a proposal that will work for the country rather than just a photo op, then this is the way to go with this base bill that really focuses on the things that I think will help our country move ahead, the things that we need to do for America today.
All right. Well, good luck, Senator Barrasso. And thank you, sir.
Thanks.
You've been wonderful to us. Really, we appreciate it very much. Good luck in those talks.